rivalry goes way back to Season 3.
It started with the first split that we were involved. We came in, just smashed the scene.
Cloud9 does not drop a single game.
I've always had a lot more respect for C9, like throughout NALCS, but there's no like real way to argue. TSM has had more titles than them, so they're obviously doing something right.
The old C9 style was more about like High being selfless and Media's like being a bit more greedy in the jungle.
He's just going. Double kill for Meteos.
What it really used to be about was really me in the mid lane against High in the mid lane and Meteos in the jungle. That was really like the games where I felt like C9 was just like crushing us.
Not getting out of this one. Got him.
For me as a spectator, it was kind of always interesting to see which one would do better because their styles were so different. C9 was really aggressive, but TSM was only really good at playing super slow games, and then they just get one good rotation or one good team fight and they just win.
Turtle on the triple. A second quadra in the playoffs for Turtle.
Things have changed a lot. No one can say that the current TSM plays anything like the old one.
And a kill goes through Svenskeren, 2-0-1.
The big difference is Svenskeren, he like takes over the game really quickly, and because of that, we can play way more aggressive and be way more proactive than I think old TSM could.
Flank from the back did not work.
Every single iteration of Cloud9 has been the greedy jungle.
None of them can do anything. Oh, man!
I think C9's wins and losses are heavily going to be based on Rush's performance. You'll always notice him. Either he will get a bunch of kills or he'll have a bunch of deaths.
Here comes the engaged Rush. Will go down. It's a 1-for-1.
It's still a hype match because it's still the big old organizations playing against each other.
We know a lot about them, they know a lot about us, so it's going to be a match about just who can execute their plans better.
It's week 3 in the North American League Championship Series, and today teams will continue to slug it out for regional dominance. Now to cheer them on, we've got a packed house here in Los Angeles, and the crowd is fired up for another 5 games. Earlier, the fans were lined up, showing lots of support for Cloud9 and Immortals. Now inside Gate and the rest of the team Impulse are getting prepared for their game against Dignitas. So you see here, Kiwi Kid and Apollo ready to bring their bot lane synergy to the Rift alongside last week's birthday boy, Shifter. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our continuing coverage of the 2016 Spring Split. I'm James Dash Patterson, along with Joshua Jat Leesman and Mr. David Freak Turley. Good day, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good.
I like the sign from
Good
the
day.
Cloud9 fan. Yo, Jensen, body these fools. It's caught on that quickly.
Yeah, that was all you.
Yeah, entirely. It was Cloud9's creation.
Okay.
They are the ones who bodied the fools.
They did. They very much did. So we'll see if they can do that again today. Let's pull up the standings and run through how the teams are lined up. Holding first place, it's the undefeated Immortals. Energy are in second with half the league tied in third place, each holding 2 wins and 2 losses. Fox and Renegades drop down into 8th with Team Liquid, who are on the board with 1 win and 3 losses. That's how the teams start the day, and we'll see how that order changes after our 5 games, starting with Impulse versus Team Dignitas. In Game 3, Liquid will take on Energy Esports, and we'll close out the day with Immortals looking for their 5th straight win against Renegades. Now in Game 2, though, it's our match of the week with Cloud9 versus TSM. Now C9 and TSM are the 2 most successful teams in the history of the NALCS. Between them, they hold all but 1 of the championship titles, and 4 splits in a row they met in the finals. But this year, things are definitely a little bit more uncertain.
Yeah, it's really interesting watching these teams unfold. I'll start with TSM, and it's been weird because they've had painful but rapid growing pains here. Week 1 versus Week 2 TSM looked vastly different. Individual talent could not really carry them in the first week, and we saw that against the more structured teams like CLG. But even though both those weeks went 1-1, TSM again looked much, much better. And this is kind of what happens when you get 4 new players. And as they learn to trust Yellowstar, I think TSM are on a continued upward trajectory.
Yeah, and then you look at Cloud9, and they've been very inconsistent ever since High moved away from the mid lane. Whether he's at jungle, whether he's at support, whether Bunny's at support, it has very different results. But typically when High is in the lineup, they're on an upward trajectory. And Freak, I heard I wasn't looking at you. Production
No, it's
during
fine.
the fist bump.
No.
So
now we're even.
Now we're even. So, see, usually
all is well
one
in the
wrong
world.
does not mean another wrong is okay.
Right.
So like, Mine was unintentional.
Yeah.
Freaks was intentional.
Yeah.
So this is how relationships are burned.
We're watching it disintegrate in front of our eyes here today. Well, there continues to be, they're doing it again. There continues to be a lot of volatility in the LCS. Just about the time when you think you can peg where a team falls in the pack, there's a huge surprise that throws it all into question once again. Now, the latest was Team Impulse, who took down Cloud9, then Renegades on their way to a perfect 2-0 week.
Yeah, and huge surprise. Like, how did Team Impulse go 2-0 after their performance in Week 1? Seraph came in for one game, Gate moved to top lane for another. There was actually speculation that Team Impulse would be 0-18 after their 0-2 start. That's impossible now because they're already 2-2, and a lot of people think they can take down Team Dignitas today.
Yeah, and we've heard it from Gate himself, right? He has been saying, even before Week 1, in a couple videos that we had of him, people are already counting us out, and he was encouraging them not to do so. Well, it looks like they're in a position to back up what he's saying.
It's going to be interesting watching what TIP really does here because, we had an interview with Mash, actually. He talked with the score, and they asked him about, what's your team like? And he's like, well, we have to speak in really, really broken English. Like saying I slow push top is almost pushing it. So coordination is a bit hard for them. At the same time, though, I actually talked with Team Dignitas earlier today, and I asked them, how do you feel about the new guys on TIP? And they said that, actually, they think that Pyrion's actually pretty good. So they have respect for at least some of this lineup here. So, we'll see how it shapes up. It's going to be an awkward transition, though, because it's not really a one-language team by any means.
Well, they definitely have confidence in their roster. Another team that should have confidence in their roster would be the Immortals, finishing 2-0 again last week, the only undefeated team that we have left. And for those of you playing along at home, that means Huni and Reignover's regular season victory total is up to 24 in a row.
And they have looked mostly unstoppable. Their closest game was against Team Solomid, and that was actually a very close match, but their coordination and also their ability to play from behind. People keep talking about, Huni and his tiltability, but how tiltable are you as a top lane if you have an undefeated regular season? Yes, he has bad starts to games that turn into very bad starts to games, but he actually ends up winning a lot of those games at the end of the day. So I like the mental fortitude of this team, and I think they have a really good chance of being best team in NA.
Fair enough. Well, while we're in the calm before the storm, be sure to head over to Twitter and join in on the conversation. Today, we're asking which new NALCS player has been the most impressive this split and why. Send your thoughts to @LOLesports with the hashtag NALCS and stay tuned to see if we read your tweet later in the broadcast. Now, that's enough chatter from this end of the studio, though. Right now, we're going to pass it off to our casters to get the games underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Bisson III, and this tall drink of water next to me here is Mr. Sam Kobe Hartman.
All right, we can do this. Let's show them how to do it. Riv.
Ha! Ha! Ha!
Noobs.
Let's get into first game of the day with Team Impulse looking to continue their climb up the standings as they take on Team Dignitas. Tip did climb from 9th place to share the 3rd place going in 2-0 last week as of right now. And the question on a lot of fans' minds is, where's Gate going this week?
Well, that's a pretty good question, considering the history. But, Gate, he got wins as a mid laner against Cloud9, and then he turned in a strong performance as Gangplank in the top lane against Renegades. So they surprised pretty much everybody by delivering an undefeated week for Team Impulse, who pretty much everybody was underestimating, coming into this season.
So we've heard.
And Gate now joins High, Chowster, and Hotshot GG as one of only 4 players to have wins in 3 different positions in the North American LCS. And this week he is returning to the bottom lane, to answer your question, while Seraph from the challenger team TDK steps back into the top lane for the team. Now, Seraph was actually a really big part in Team Impulse's first win with his Lissandra initiations, as well as being the most prominent voice in the team's communications and shot calling as a substitute, which is kind of crazy, coming in as a sub for the team and sort of directing the entire gameplay.
He's definitely grown leaps and bounds since the Seraph we knew coming over the first time in the top lane for
Definitely.
CLG.
And his English has improved.
That it has. That it has. And on the other side of the rift, Team Dignitas are looking to rebound now after their game against TSM. TSM came prepared with a strategy and pulled off what was a methodical 28-minute win, if you remember.
Yeah, specifically, TSM targeted Kire's go-to champion Elise and Shifter's go-to Ari that he's had really good performances on at the beginning of this season. So, other teams may look to try and copy that. Maybe Impulse will try and replicate those bans as well here. Because Dignitas have actually been changing things up. There's a new development. Billy Boss is no longer a sub. He's actually going to be the starting top laner, and they are practicing with him exclusively. He's here to stay, and he actually admitted that he was having nerves, and they were kind of on display with his zoning TP there in the first round for him. But honestly, this guy, he has a great attitude, and he seems to be fitting in really well with the team. And they're all very happy with him. So I think that he will have something to show today. He wants to be remembered for something different
Well,
than,
it looks like
the week 1.
Spirits are high right now, keeping the fingers warm. And you know what? Let's go right down the lineup here for Dignitas. On the blue side, it actually going to go Impulse first. It's Team Impulse. In the top lane, it is going to be Seraph. I confused myself there. In the jungle, it will be Proxen. In the mid lane, it is going to be Pyrian. That means Mash at AD carry. And Impulse's support now going to be Gate once again. Along with Coach Jason behind them, Impulse really making moves. 2-2. We'll see if they can keep it up.
And on the red side is Team Dignitas. Up top is going to be Billy Boss. In the jungle, it's Kire. Mid shifter, AD carry Apollo. Support Kiwi Kid. And on stage, woo, big Kiwi Kid applause right there. On stage today is going to be Inner Flame for them.
I'm watching Kiwi Kid. He dissed my tweet of my cheeseburger that I made with bacon on it. He said I should learn to take
Oh, you got to work
pictures.
on your picture taking skills.
I guess so. We'll see if
Do you have an
Kiwi Kid
Instagram,
can work
Rip?
on this game. No, I don't. No, I don't. So he called me out. He got me there, but I'll be watching you today, Kiwi Kid. No mistakes. But it's going to be a tough for both teams. We always say when you're in the middle of the pack here, and it seems like you may be on one of the teams that falls towards the bottom, getting these wins matters because it's going to be that game that puts you above the
And a lot of people had
half.
like low expectations for Team Dignitas coming into this season because there were so many crazy off-season moves where people were bringing in stars and there's a lot of money being thrown around. But Team Dignitas brought in these European Challenger players and more sort of unknown players or less well-known than the big stars like Yellowstar. But Team Dignitas, they've honestly had a lot of success. Even though they're 2-2, they looked good in all of their games except for that one TSM sort of stomp.
All right, into picks and bans, Kobe. Week 3 already. I like how quick it's going as well. You get to test these players so quickly, and you know it's like it never ends because there's so much league during the week anyways. It's been so great.
Keeping up with every single league is pretty difficult now.
Good luck. Well, let's keep up with the picks and bans. As of right now, Impulse with late substitutions has lost 2 of their bans. That's what you're seeing on their side of the screen. We have the Rise ban from Dignitas to start off what will be their 3.
And it's pretty interesting how this changes the game here with 2 loss of bans for the blue side. Because even though Impulse do have first pick, with only 4 bans total, there's a lot more power picks that can get through. And Dignitas can look to try and pick up 2 of them on the backswing here. As of right now, they're going to say Impulse, the most important ban versus Team Dignitas is Kire's Elise. Definitely by far his best champion.
It says so
take
much.
that off the table. Yeah.
It says so much. You can really pull a lot out of that stat right there. So we'll see what they try. We've seen a lot of Poppy across every region. Now they're starting to come up after Haunter played it a bit more. Now more people taking to it the NALCS as well.
Very flexible pick.
Looking for the Callista, so a nice pick there. And it's going back and forth pretty quick here with these power picks being up.
So what they did here for Team Dignitas on their picks is they broke up the Alistar Callista combo, which is an insane amount of crowd control from the bottom lane. And they also were able to take away that Poppy pick, which is really flexible, can go top, jungle, or support. Probably going to be Billy Boss if I had to take a guess, but it could very well be one of Kire's backup picks here, as Rek'Sai was taken away as well. Kindred's still on the board for him, and he can look to play that champion again, go for some early aggression. Lulu being locked in for Impulse, though. Looks like a really solid team comp here. And they're also going to be setting up Mash to carry this game. Mash has been strong AD carry. Honestly, he's been sort of underestimated throughout his career. He's bounced around through so many teams and in and out of challenger teams and in and out of the LCS even after they were able to make their way in. But set up with a Lulu, you can definitely make him look good, especially if you combine it with Lucian. We've seen so many Lucian-Lulu combos just take over endgame.
And it's what he's played recently, too, that Lucian. He went 7-1 and 13 against Cloud9 in their victory. But now over to Dig's side, and those are quick locks. Morgana and Rengar getting locked in by Dignitas.
All right, Kira going to show some Rengar here in North America. Bold move. Let's see if he goes. Let's see if he goes for the tank Rengar. Kind of like Reignover will do. or if he goes for a little bit of early damage. My personal favorite is the damage Rengar, but probably not going to be a good choice versus a Lulu comp because Lulu will just ult the target that you jump on anyway.
Yeah.
So probably going to be more of a tank Rengar here for Kure. There's the Lucian that I was looking for.
Locking that Lucian. I was actually considering the Kog'Maw for a second as well, knowing Mash played some hyper carries back in his day when we saw him on Coast and whatnot. But Lucian Fiora locked in. Both of those can be saved and cause some good havoc in a fight. Like I said, Lucian was played against that Cloud9 game for Impulse here. We'll see if they can keep it.
What if it's a top lane solo rank? Nah, could very well still be.
The support Poppy?
You can technically still...
Morg mid?
You can still technically...
Dude, all these champions go everywhere. We've seen Morg top in other regions as well with Marn and Flandre playing it.
Yeah.
So, and we've also seen
the
Morg top
The Morg
before,
top
but
kind of underwhelming there. Marin is trying to make it happen, but...
he's got the LGD curse right now.
All right, so it is going to be the support Morgana, though. That is going to rotate Rengar into the jungle, and Billy Boss gets the Poppy Fiora matchup. I really am still keeping track of this. I'm trying to find every pro game where we have this matchup. So far, I've seen a couple of them actually go to the Fiora in Korea, you know, with camping for Smeb, and Smeb kind of taking over the game. But Poppy also has done well in this matchup in a couple of games as well. So I'm still curious to see where the advantage actually lies. I guess it's a fairly close matchup here and heavily influenced by junglers. Poppy, one of the few fairly tanky champions that actually can handle Fiora, just because Poppy is so strong right now.
At least she doesn't have her old passive. I'm very happy about that. One of the most annoying things in the game.
She does still get armor and magic resistance that double. It's just, it's not quite to the extent of the old one.
So the champs are locked in and loading. You know what to do. Head over to Twitter and send either hashtag TIPWin or hashtag DIGWin and share your picks over on LOL Esports. We will check those out as we go through the game and tally up the votes. Going to be very interesting on this one. Looking at Shifter on the mid lane. Corki had reverted to the Lux previously last week. A little bit more Ahri in his gameplay. But now we're going to see what he can do on that Corki in the mid. A lot more mid laners have been picking it up. The poke is something just overutilized.
It's insane.
At all points in the game, it's fantastic to have.
Yeah, and the thing that kind of put mid Corki over the top is the rework, you know, adding the package into the game. Because a solo lane Corki getting the early levels means that you can actually aggressively use the package more often than an 80 carry Corki. And then we're also seeing earlier Trinity Force spikes for the champion, obviously, because he is getting easy time in the mid lane. We'll see what he can do here. Shifter in the mid lane. Seraph and Billy Boss gonna get a look at each other. Billy Boss establishes dominance. Seraph runs for the hills.
I like that we're not getting a lane swap either. This will give jugglers a little bit of action during the game as well. They won't just have to be farming around with the top laners. So we'll see if Kire can really put some pressure down, or how fast rather he can get to 6 and start things off for the team. Simple wards to start things off, and it doesn't look like either side going to change. Touch of Corruptions over on the side of Dig to start this out.
Apollo is
regular potions on the other side. Some biscuits. What are you looking at, Kobe?
I'm going to look at him. Is he trying to block minions? He is trying to block minions. So this is something this is something that you could actually do in Dota. But in League of Legends, it's much more difficult because the collision with minions is so much smaller. But it recently has been providing a little bit more collision in the last couple of patches, and Apollo actually is going to be able to block those minions off. So the first line is going to be a little bit on their side, and Dignitas is going to take the Gromp as well here to jump into lane. We'll see if that actually does affect, because there was a recent change to the minions so that they don't focus the same one.
I just watched that. The code works. 2 minions attacked the first one, and the third one was like, nah, guys, I can't attack him. I can't attack him.
All right, so it's playing out now as not too much. Mash, I guess he missed 1 minion. Did he miss 1? No, he got 3.
Yeah. So it's close.
He's good.
It was close.
Even though it was interesting, we haven't seen it before, didn't quite get anything out of it.
No, the third minion knew his job. He didn't focus fire on that first one and kill it early. So we're good on CS. We'll see how they handle the lane now as they both get. Level 2 was already in hands of Dignitas. So they chose not to go aggressive on that and just get headbutted around.
What the idea there is, you if you have them closer on your side, if you're able to block them off a little bit, he blocked off the second one, so the first one gets out a little bit ahead, and they were hoping that Impulse's minions would focus it down fast enough so that with the bottom lane of Impulse doing Krugs, they wouldn't get there and they'd lose that one. But I'm pretty sure Mash got all three.
The mind games.
Now I'm second guessing myself. I'm not quite sure. Regardless, though, they're able to shove them in. Apollo and Kiwi Kid gonna have the advantage in lane here and gonna be able to send the scouts up the river. Zero on the full clear here with Rengar. He also went with the refillable potion.
Yep.
So he was able to do easy clear. And he'll have the extra potion there. Billy Boss in the top lane is going to clean up a lot of CS here. He's going to have a CS advantage after these tower last hitting, even if he, well, not if he misses all of them, but come on. He's going to have the advantage.
He's got this. He's got it. He's got it.
All right. He goes even. Wasn't able to clean up the advantage
That's actually
because he got pushed into the turret. It is very tough, especially with Poppy with a delayed explosion there on the Q, but is able to pull back even. And the first buy here is going to be a pink ward for Seraph up in the top lane. Seraph is one of those players that likes to play aggressively in his lane, likes to play forward and trade often, so does require extra vision coverage for that playstyle.
A lot of times on TDK, he's the one you look to make the plays, so he may even kind of take that role somewhat here for Impulse as well, and the Fiora with as well, Pyrian being able to make him a little bigger with that wild growth. Seeing some love here from Proxen onto Billy Boss in the top lane. He just had some trouble CSing at the turret, and being just about 6 CS up here, he's going to get some aggression on him. Flash out, that may be a return gank from Proxen if he wants it, and the lane's at a great spot for Seraph right now.
Yeah, so Billy Boss right there, what he was trying to do is save his flash and just take some damage and then try and chug his corruption potion to heal back up under turret, but he ended up having to burn the flash and taking the damage for the gank because he didn't use his flash super early. So he ended up having to teleport back. Now he's calling in support of his own because they're expecting a repeat gank since his flash is down. But Proxen is recalling right now, so it won't be a repeat gank anytime soon.
Nope.
They got 5 minutes to work with. Try and come back, though.
Would have been pretty tricky to get that kill on Seraph. Just dash away.
Yeah, the only thing that they were looking for there would be a counter gank.
Kind of blow the flash as well. So back to the bot lane, 44-38. Mash has been missing a few on this one. It doesn't look like they really want to fight Apollo. It's not the easiest thing, Lucian versus Kalista. She just kind of hops out of your lights, or the light attack rather.
Yeah, and as of right now, Gate's gonna have a hard time, getting any combo off. Black Shield, as long as they stay far enough apart so that the combo doesn't knock both of them up, the Dignitas are just fine. Do they spread out here? The other thing is that Kalista versus Lucian matchup, with Kalista having an easy sidestep due to her passive, you can pretty easily dodge the Q there from Lucian, dodge the damage. Just jump out to the side as soon as he starts casting it. You'll avoid the damage. Double shot though, unable to avoid if he does get it up.
They're just consistently pushing this lane, having the Ghost out to their side. Also good wards as well up and down that back of the Dragon area allows them to keep pushing in, mashing Gate. Hopefully not providing too much to the team if anything comes up towards Dragon, but right now Dignitas looking pretty good in the early game with a 300 gold lead. Still no kills yet to go down, still waiting for a Rengar 6. And Proxen has actually been very quiet as well on the other side.
Yeah, he's looking to take advantage of that flash that he blew earlier. We said he had 5 minutes to come back. He's taking his time, working his way up here. Seraph is level 6 and has pressed Billy Boss under turret, but again, Poppy is still hard to dive, even though she doesn't have the old passive. Still gets the extra passive on her W for magic resistant armor, and still fairly difficult to dive, especially now that she has her ultimate and can get that long knockup.
I'm gonna say good choice. They chose not to. Probably just gonna hammered back to base.
Kire walking over a ward here.
Yeah, he's got 6 as well, so it looked like he was trying to get something activated immediately and get some gold in his pocket. He's not even that far ahead of Proxen right now.
Yeah.
He's just got enough to be level 6.
And Proxen actually went for the early upgrade for the smite instead of going for the combat stats. That's what we see for most of the Cinder people who opt to go Cinderhulk. Upgrade your smite early so you get the extra wards earlier for the deep invade here. Plus, it's going to mean you get a bit more experience on the jungling that you do get done. Kire, though, going for those long swords. Going to try and have a high impact level 6 gank here. I don't know. There's no really good lanes for him to go after.
Just about to ask you, where does he go even now? Because you get headbutted bot lane, wild growth mid lane. It's going to be tough.
It's very tough for him. Probably the best choice is to try and find Proxen somewhere. Try and get off a good counter gank. But other than that, he's going to continue to farm up here. Yeah. On Rengar, he can choose to just try and continue farming until he gets enough damage to actually be able to have a high impact level 6 gank and go for the AD carry. Gate there on Alistar is going to try and interrupt Go.
What is such a calm, even game right now between these two teams.
Yeah, Dignitas just grinding out that CS lead for themselves.
This
Across
works.
the board here. Up top, Billy Boss is now ahead. Shifter dead even. Just 3 behind right now, but there are extra minions in lane. So he will be able to catch that up. And bottom lane, as you said, continually shoving in.
Teleports are there as well. Play needs to be made. We heard teams talking about, or teams, rather, the community and whatnot, kind of writing off Impulse here in the beginning of the season. When that situation happened for Dignitas, it's kind of when they flourished, when nobody really talked about them too much. They always got their big lead. They always got really good communication through the team on.
Oh, baby. He's going to walk.
Neither of these teams really making that impact just yet.
Smart ward there from Seraph. This is something that a lot of top laners you actually don't see because you can't buy green wards anymore. We see a lot less of top laners warding those brush. So that's a gank that will work 90% of the time in solo queue. But Seraph to quick form, not going to be able to work here. Proxen goes for the gank down bottom and gets out the black shield. That's how the Morgana Callista lane stays so safe. And both teams knew exactly the gameplay that was going to go down there. They were able to get the ultimate down, though. With the nerfs to Callista, that is a much longer cooldown. So it still was a fairly worthwhile gank because it does take away a lot of the aggressive playstyle available to the bottom lane of Team Dignitas. Unfortunately for the fans, that does mean it's going to be a bit safer now. And it is going to be a lot more farming. Both teams here happy to farm up for their team fight phases.
Talking about Proxen going for that upgrade right away. No upgrade just yet for Keyray, actually.
Yeah.
Caulfield's Lucidity, just spamming spells, doing damage.
Rengar doesn't really need the mana regeneration aspect of the upgrade, so he's going for a bunch of cooldown reduction early on Rengar, which is hugely important. We even saw a couple patches ago, before Precision was rebuffed, the flat armor penetration mastery, saw 45% Rengar being pretty popular because cooldown reduction increases his damage output tremendously, getting off full rotation of his regular spells and getting more empowered spells.
True story.
Because of it. This also means that there's a low cooldown on his ultimate. Could go for one of those ganks. Shifter's got a package.
Could do it soon.
I'm trying to bait them into it here. Let's go. Everybody mid.
Totally
Everybody
gonna,
mid.
Totally gonna
they're
work.
kind of collapsing.
Subliminal messaging they can't hear.
Honestly, with both teams playing so defensively, though, and just trying to farm up, a lot of the times you will see the first team to make the move. The first team to get impatient is the one that actually comes out behind because they go for a tower dive and they overextend, use too many resources to try and force a play. As of right now, Ghosty's mid lane completed, so...
You're like, I don't think it's going to reach us. I don't think it's going to reach us. Just stand still. It won't see you.
But anyways, the reason why they're okay with this is Impulse, the way they see it, is they have the mid Lulu.
Yeah, just
busting up their first item. Lulu's got multiple options as well as far as who to buff up. Early game, you don't have to buff up the AD carry. Seraph is a great target for Lulu to enhance in these team fights. Uh-oh. Solo Dragon being interrupted here. Gate gets a good combo.
Gate
More damage. Oh, both back up.
Going face to face with Apollo there, finds a Fate's Call. Gates got himself in a bad spot. There was no connection between the mid lane here from Impulse. Gate goes back in. He may actually be able to stay alive. He finally goes down to Apollo. The fight's on now. Mash up on the backside, still able to deliver damage. Now the top laners have joined with TPs, and that's going to be Billy Boss going down. Now they're on to Kirei. That's a spooky ghost. That's a kill as well, a double for Pyrian. And now they're on to Shifter. Should be able to get himself out of this. But what looked super messy for Impulse was actually them being able to get there in time.
Yeah, it was the solo laners collapsing. Pyrian coming from mid lane and the teleport from Seraph collapsing in on Team Dignitas, who overextended. Like we were talking about, sometimes it's the first team that opts to create a play here. They tried to create something on Dragon, and Impulse go to interrupt it here. The ult from Kalista being back up already is pretty huge for them, and what they're thinking here is, hey, I can just stack up spears in Alistar. Even though we don't do a lot of damage to Alistar with his ultimate up, Kalista's fine with stacking up spears for the big Ren. But then when Proxen comes in for the huge knockup and the early collapse by the two solo laners that get there very quickly for Impulse, they're able to clean them up. And since Kirei took a lot of damage from the Dragon, was fairly low still, and gets caught on the outside. Now, I have to say though, Billy Boss, that was a good TP. You know, he was able to come in, and that was a 4-man Team Dignitas kill there. But the solo mid lane there did have a pretty big impact as Pyrian, excuse me, came back down.
Billy Boss's push, I think, had actually a huge effect in that fight because he effectively was a backwards headbutt for Gates pulverize onto then the entire team, and then a follow-up from Proxen. So that was a very interesting interaction from Billy Boss onto Gate there. Either way, Impulse pull out a very nice fight from what looked like they were just going to lose Gate and then Dragon. 3-1 now, coming up on 15 minutes, and they did grab that objective. So things are looking good for Impulse.
Got
no
the
turrets,
kills, got the Dragon.
Taken down.
Now we'll see if they can push this lead in a little bit. See if they can venture into Dignitas jungle, get a little bit of deep warding down. They do have the Tracker's Knife there on Proxen, as well as the Sightstone completed, so they could supplant some wards fairly deep. There's a dive from Gate and Mash, and actually they transferred tower aggro onto Mash, and so Alistar unable to tank with the ultimate.
There's
and
an answer here too,
any
Kobe.
further aggression. 2 turrets maybe on this push for one, due to that kind of botched dive. A lot of damage at least on the top side here. Team Dignitas getting done.
Should be able to take this one down. A new minion wave is approaching. So second tier in this lane gets dropped now, and Dignitas starts to work the map a little bit more. We'll see if they can start to really use Shifter.
They got the 2 for 0 actually because of the botched tower dive.
Really? How much health does that still have? Not that much. So it'll go down in a bit, but we see Mash Me backing, so it's going to be quite a bit. Gold to be picked up is on the map for Impulse, but Dignitas getting to it much faster here. Now 1,000 gold lead for them, and Apollo does have his 1 kill. So nobody's really in any mode to super carry this game from the side of Dignitas. Impulse looking for the way back in.
That was actually a pretty big swing here with the miscommunication from Team Impulse on that bottom side of the map. They had 4 people down there and weren't able to get back even the gold out of the outer turret. So Team Dignitas might try and use that fairly big influx of 2 towers worth of global gold to try and strike back here on the bottom side. Billy Boss does have his TP available, and Seraphs is coming up very soon, though, so we may see another 5-on-5 develop quickly.
Yep. One thing that really helps Tip out in that last engage as well, even being down gold, is that nearly everybody got 100% kill participation on the 3 kills they have right now. Proxen getting out the Black Shield, almost helping the team get 1 more engage. But they aren't afraid to push right now and be aggressive. Making sure to get the plays in and get right back into this game. Looks like Rod of Ages will be finished up soon for Pyrian. A little later than he would have liked, but he does have that spell he's finished up, so no worries on items for him.
Yeah.
Good spike for Shifter
very happy
as well
Lulu.
with Triforce.
Yeah, Shifter's ready, but they might want to wait for... Oh, he's got the package. So they might want to wait for Kirei to stack up 5 Ferocity stacks to go for something. Definitely a lot of playmaking ability here, though, as Billy Boss comes around behind Lulu. He actually
just going for
stopped off on that play. And it looks like we might have another package just fizzle out here. Shifter doesn't look like he's trying to go for anything.
I feel like there's going to be a play bot lane with
Kirei, though?
The HP of this turret right now being seen. Proxen wants to go over this wall, and that is definitely a diveable position for Apollo and Kiwi Kid.
So that was an ult for Kirei. They were
for mid lane.
Yeah, they were trying to use the package plus Rengar ultimate there to jump on Pyrian, but they were unable to get it. And so that's going to be a pretty big cooldown. Not there. You know, he did rush cooldown reduction, so as we're talking about, so won't be too bad for them. But Shifter was able to spy him and not get caught. There goes Impulse, recouping some of the gold with the outer turret there, bringing it back to pretty much even.
The first ult we see from Rengar kind of not working on that one. It would have been a difficult one anyways with Wild Growth being up. But Dig, knowing pressure was on the bot side, they try to make a play happen.
Yeah, honestly, commend Shifter for the presence of mind there. You know, he saw Shifter, or excuse me, commend Pyrian.
Pyrian, okay.
Because he saw Shifter holding the package, and they knew any Corki holding the package wants to create a play. They are itching to use it. And with Rengar on the team, it's definitely a clear play that they're probably going to go for. Doesn't work out here, though. Maybe. Nah, probably just continue to farm, actually, with no ultimate available here.
Been a bit of a gap made in that mid lane with CS, but that's really about all that's been super exciting in this one. Both teams are just happy walking hand in hand here through lanes, being very safe. Not even too many forward wards have been placed on either side of the map. Maybe a few have trickled over the river, but really giving each other a lot of space here. Dragon, once again to be attempted. Impulse grabbed the first one off a engage and then disengage. Now we'll see if Dignitas, they do look like they have the resources. Maybe a smite here for Proxen if he can get himself over the wall.
He's looking to go in. He has flash, too. He can get back out.
A little too early.
Hard. Well, it's really hard to go. Yeah, it's really hard to go with the against the Kalista Rend. So you kind of guess when the enemy are going to combo with their smite and their Rend and hope to get in between it there. But Proxen not able to get it. Doesn't have to burn his flash to get back out, though. Billy Boss and Seraph duel up top. Oh, the flash!
You were wondering how this would play out, Kobe. Now in a 2v2. It's going to now be a 3v3, but we've already lost Seraph. DPS down for Impulse's side. Billy Boss trying to squeeze his way out of here, but he can't get out. Taken down by Proxen. Kirei on the chase. He's got the brush. He's got the slow. He's got it charged up once again for more fight. Proxen on the bot. He gets slowed by the Chilly Spooky Ghost. Kiwi Kid throws one back, but the tunnel was already started. That was actually huge. Proxen, however, could not get that knock up. A huge hit from Gate. Kiwi Kid goes down, and Impulse somehow seemingly continues to turn these fights.
Well, they did. They were able to get one more back on that, but still, a 2-for-2 with a free farming Kalista down bottom does give a little bit of an advantage to Team Dignitas. Even though the turret trade is going to be even, Apollo did get a lot of free farm on minions down in the bottom lane, and we'll see if Team Dignitas can actually go and defend the secondary turret here. Impulse probably going to stop off. But yeah, another skirmish up top. Pretty quick collapse from both teams this time around. And a little bit of over-chasing as well, honestly. Team Dignitas actually could have come out even further ahead. They didn't chase that a little bit further. Teleport turns it. He cancels it and leaves him!
Hey,
keep
jumping!
Oh, Billy Boss, no faith in Apollo's ability there. Apollo still had flash too, and there were so many spears.
Dude, it's the zoning TP.
Well, it didn't zone anyone. They stuck on Apollo there.
They knew it was fake. They knew it was fake.
That's a moment where you're like, I wonder what went on in the communication there, because it could have been Apollo saying, nah, don't bother coming down.
True.
I'm dead, dude. It could have just, yeah. So we won't speculate because we're not quite sure what happened in the calls there. Could have been somebody else telling him to cancel. Could have been somebody else telling him to do it. But yeah, that's if that's you just by yourself playing a solo queue game or something, and you see that TP get canceled, you're a little salty.
And Impulse is really getting the right here by their own hands to keep pushing the items, the farm. You can see 98 to 72 right now. Proxen's getting quite big now with the Dead Man's Plate on top of his trackers, and even more on top of that to what Kiray's left behind now. They might be able to engage on their own terms whenever they want here. Dignitas is going to have to be careful. You already see the impulse mid pressure being effective. And Apollo back to the side lanes once again, where he might still find some pressure from the team impulse.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look at the wards, there's like a smattering of wards pretty much on both sides, but most of them are concentrated on top. So Apollo trying to split push down bottom is a little bit dangerous, and I don't expect him to go past the river because of that.
TP.
Oh, teleport is used though.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, he missed.
I was hoping he saved it for Seraph, but he didn't actually see Seraph coming in. Wow. 3's a crowd, but 4, I don't even know. That's just uninvited.
Well,
they take down Billy Boss.
Because the teleport is used, Team Dignitas know that no other lane is going to have any wave clear or any sort of defense here, and they push mid as well as bottom. Apollo again gets more free farm, again is going to press up on the turret. Let's see if he can survive this time, though, as Seraph is actually making a beeline straight for him.
All this timing has worked very well to meet Apollo on the other side of the map.
Rotate down all the other members, and they should be able to clean up this turret as well. So 2 turrets in exchange for Billy Boss's life. Decent trade there for Team Dignitas. As long as they don't give up Baron, though. Uh-oh. Well, Billy Boss does have teleport.
Oh, man. Impulse.
I don't think they know, though.
They just pulled the okey doke. Dignitas didn't know.
Well, there's a
wow.
Scuttle Crab taken, so they know. They just can't get there. Sometimes knowing is only half the battle, Riv, and the other half
really nice
is very important as well. You have to be there too.
A little bit of a whoopsie, but I think Dignitas will be able to hold off for the time being and getting these waves somewhat cleared once they get to the turret. We saw the pressure from Impulse on mid quite big. If they get the wards forward, maybe they can pressure this tank of a team they have in Proxen so far. He's quite big for what is necessary at this time in the game. 25 minutes, one more Dragon to come up. That'll just be number 2, so wouldn't be surprised to see that just go to the wayside for more map pressure if Dignitas were to play that way, or even Impulse.
Yeah, definitely an odd game so far. Let's see, now it's pretty clear though for Impulse. Need to try and pressure. Seraph is actually up to the split pushing. 2 item power spike here for Fiora. So if he can go buff up some minions. No teleport though, and Kiray initiates.
I'm on Mash. They try to get him. Kiray very, very low, but Mash only one more hit, and he does get the Apollo javelin to the chest. Gate's gonna be the next one going down. Billy Boss hammers him to the ground, and the dunks are left and right for Dignitas right now. And a Baroned up Impulse makes a whoopsie.
Let's... yeah, a lot of whoopsies.
A few of them.
So far, I guess. But it is going to be a tower on the top side, and Seraph is still pushing inhibitor turrets. Billy Boss going to go stop him, though. Let's see if anybody comes up in time. 25 seconds. I think they'll be able to get the inhibitor as well on top of the turret. Oh!
All right, Kiwi. Saw what you were doing. Pyrian doing what he can. We see this fight between Billy Boss now. Knocked up to the air. No more mana for Seraph. He's just left to auto attacks now, and it's under the turret. Gets pushed back, and he actually saves him a little bit. I don't think it would have taken him down either way.
This is an odd game indeed, Riv. All right, let's see what's traded now.
Everything's normal,
They were
Kobe.
thinking about trading an inhibitor turret.
Whoa!
For the Dragon, but they got caught at Dragon as well.
Dignitas does not have the right to back in their own jungle. Proxen still on the chase. Super deep on this one. He's got his snorkel on. And Kiray, one last auto attack. The glitter takes down Kiray. Also another kill onto Shifter. What is happening right now? That's the
Apollo's getting killed.
Now
That's
they're in the base. What is he coast to coast? Impulse is just not stopping.
They win the game, man.
They're on to the next.
They won the game.
I cannot even believe this game. What? Nexus is going down. 26 minutes for Impulse to take down Dignitas. Yeah, that just happened. Impulse wins the game. It's a good way to start the day. Set the bar like in the middle.
I need some
to
coffee.
high.
I need some coffee, Riv. All right, that was a series of weird trades of objectives there for both teams, actually.
Unlucky.
Interesting. But in the end, it's all about the outplay, Riv. I mean, you can trade objectives over and over, but when Seraph comes up with the solo kill under turret, changes everything. And Team Dignitas actually were actually looking like they were going to take Dragon as they exited. Impulse came up with another catch, and were able to chase them down.
All right, I'm going back.
Unfortunately, I think the replays have been down because we had technical difficulties. So we can't exactly saw how they got caught, but I think that it was just Pyrian chasing on Lulu. I mean, Lulu constant speed busting herself with Ghosts from Frost Queen's claim. Can't hold on. Okay, they weren't even going for Dragon. That's no, they were just trying to run.
Okay.
They were just trying to run away.
So, okay.
And happened to pass by it.
So Proxen.
It wasn't a trade. They were just trying to escape.
It was not a trade. They were exiting towards the Raptor area as they took the inhibitor. And then Proxen actually void rushed along with Pyrian straight out. And that's when we actually caught them. We saw Proxen right under the team, just super deep. But like I said, he was so 108 to 82 in that sense, 2-1 and 8. Kirei started making things work at the end there, but he just wasn't as big, and Impulse could really dictate the game the way they wanted it.
I mean, that was that was a series of overcommitting, I think, to the opposite sides of the map there, and trying to capitalize. So Team Dignitas had a good idea. They were trying to capitalize.
It looked so good in the moment.
There was no teleport for Seraph, and they actually came out ahead. You know, they won that team fight mid. No teleport on Seraph. It's okay. We'll just send Billy top. He'll hold that. We'll be able to pressure mid. Then they ended up overextending in the mid lane and actually stayed for that inhibitor on top of the turret, which I thought that they could get, to be fair. But the chase from Rek'Sai, Ultimate, and Lulu.
Everything that happened in Dignitas' mind, though, was, like, amazing. They lost Baron because of that outplay, but we just took down three guys with Baron. Yeah. Like, we could easily push now. And like you said, a little too far.
It was just the Rek'Sai global teleport there. With the Lulu chase.
It was good pressure.
And the 1v1 outplay, honestly.
Yep. Picks and bans as well. Impulse were to lose 2 here due to late substitution, and they really hit the nail on the head with the Kirei ban once again. The Elise is so strong for him. He facilitates so much for the team to get going in the early game, and it would have helped so much this game as well.
Yeah. I mean, we go back and wonder about what could have changed if he was on Elise. It still looked like it would be really hard to create, even with Elise, to create something in that early game since it was so stale.
You get it in the empowered bolas anyway, so you kind of get a cocoon kind of situation jumping out of the brush. Well, you're right.
The world may never know.
I believe a jungler. Ask Mr. Owl. So after this game, a 3-2 tip to now a 2-3 Dignitas, and we said these games are important here because we saw how much of a battle it was. The next time Tip faces these guys, they don't have to worry about if we'll get a win. Going even isn't as great.
Yeah.
But they have got the win, and they figured out what they needed to do.
And Impulse,
resilient.
With Proxen and with Pyrian playing, they're undefeated. So, looks good for them.
All right, so Cloud9 and TSM are loading onto the stage, and in just a few minutes, we'll be jumping into our game of the week. You are right now watching the North American LCS.